Good evening, everyone. My name is Cesar Draper, and today I will be telling you about bilateral stimulation on the teenage brain. A little bit about me. I'm currently a student at Martinsville High School, and in the fall, I will attend North Carolina Central University to study in theater performance and also study in mass communications with a concentration in digital media. You may be wondering why I chose this topic. I chose this topic because as a child, I've always had a connection with music, and music has helped me throughout my whole entire lifetime since I was born. The importance of this study is because it can show how different sounds can help lower stress levels in teenagers throughout their high school career. You may be wondering what bilateral stimulation is, also known as BLS. Bilateral stimulation is a rhythmic sound that's side-to-side sensory input to help mimic sleep patterns or help the brain process certain things in stuck situations. This bilateral stimulation is used often in therapy sessions. The reason why I wanted to conduct this study is because bilateral stimulation is often used on adults, but as teenagers, I know that sometimes we go through stuff that adults don't, and we get stressed out, and music helps us a lot. The adolescent and neurobiology and stress. The teenage brain is always under construction. As previous students stated, the teenage brain is still developing. We're not adults yet, so that's why I wanted to study it on people that their brains are still functioning. What is known is that high stress levels in teens lead to very poor academic studies and also lead to depression and unhealthy living habits. The power of nature sounds, which I use the nature sound of rainfall on BLS, is that nature sounds act as green noises that signals environments for safety situations. Comparisons to things like white noise, birds chirping, things of that sort, they all play a part in bilateral stimulation to the brain. The gap in BLS, which is what is not known, is that BLS is done a lot in clinical therapy sessions throughout the whole entire world nationally. And there are also, like I said before, very little research on bilateral stimulation because it's often used on adults. My justification for this study is to see if a simple, accessible track could lower the stress level on a teenager. The connection to the study will help me bring up in conversations by testing if we can bring high-level therapy sessions to help teenagers lower the state of what they are currently in. So, for instance, if a child is upset or not feeling right in a certain situation, maybe an auditory sound could help with. This helps lead to my research question, which is how does the use of auditory bilateral stimulation through rainfall sounds delivered via headphones affect the subjective stress levels of teenagers over a 5-minute period? My hypothesis states, the null hypothesis, that there is no significant difference in the self-reported stress levels of teenagers before and after exposure to the auditory BLS sound. And my alternative hypothesis is that if teenagers are exposed to the rhythmic auditory bilateral stimulation using rainfall sounds, then their self-reported stress levels will be significantly less than their initial baseline levels. Now I'm going to get into my variables. My independent variable is the type of auditory track I used, which was a rainfall track, and my dependent variable was the stress levels after I conducted the experiment. My controls consisted of the use of identical headphones for all participants in the same volume and settings, and the constants that consisted in my experiment was the duration of the audio tracks in the quiet room environment and the age range of the teenagers from 13 to 19. The methods and ethics that I considered in this study was I contained consent from all subjects, especially if they were under the age of 18, and I used a sample size of 30 participants. My population considered all MHS students, and then I also had welfare considerations that if the participants were ever informed that if the participant was ever uncomfortable or the headphones caused damage to their ears during the experiment, they were known that they could remove headphones at any time. My results this is visual representation of my results, where on the further of the left, you can see the students that their stress levels decreased, majority, and on the right, you can see where minor teenagers, their stress levels kind of stayed the same, and on the far right, you can see that person's stress levels increased. My statistical significance and conclusion, after running a paired sample t-test, I got a t-value of -9.59, and I also got p-value of 0.0000. It goes on to 0.000, and a standard deviation of -2.366666. I measured the stress levels of 30 teenagers on the 1 to 10 stress scale. Before the study, the average stress score was 6.93 points, and after the 5 minutes of BLS rainfall audio sound, the average dropped to 4.57 points, resulting in the mean change of 2.37. After running my pair sample t-test to confirm this change was significant. At a 0.05 level of significance, I rejected the null hypothesis was rejected with a p-value less than 0. And the t-stat, which I've already stated, which was -9.59, this proves that the reduction wasn't just due to chance, and that the change in stress levels lies between -2.87 and -1.87. The discussion and interpretation of my study, as this highlighted piece in our brains you can see, which is called the amygdala, is basically the piece in our brains that censors repetitive sound that we are familiar with. So like for instance, when you hear police sirens or fire station noises, or even the tornado siren, you know that, for instance, the police siren, stop your car, look and see if you need to stop or move out the way from them, or a tornado siren that there's a potential tornado watch going around. And the moral of the story is that bilateral stimulation successfully lowers stress, and I believe this happened because the alternating sounds that was consistent to the rainfall, it helped calm them as a whole. A real world importance of this study is that many teachers, doctors, or counselors can use this in their classroom or sessions to help lower stress levels of teenagers or adults or anybody of age, to help them in certain situations so they won't be so stressed out. And these results offer a practical, non-invasive tool for high-pressure school environments and, like I said, counselor offices. A couple limitations I had in my study was that some teenagers, I believe, sometimes can be biased because they just want to get out of class and they don't want to really be there, so they just, if it's an outing, they take it. Also the self-report scale, some teenagers just click whatever because again, they're getting out of class, they don't really care. And then you have the teenagers that do care. And then we also have some teenagers that were kind of immature while conducting the experiment, so that will be a couple of my limitations. What I can say for future researchers is maybe try to test out a different music type. I use a nature sound, maybe they would like to use sounds like actual music, like actual songs, or they may want to conduct a study on like the vibrations that help stress levels. The long-term effects, I believe that the long-term effects that I believe researchers should use is, that they should take into consideration that some teenagers are not fully developed as younger teenagers, and also, like I said before, that it is studied on adults, but also some adults go through a lot of things other than other adults. So they may need more sessions to lower their stress levels in others. The takeaway I got from the study is to not procrastinate like my fellow peers, and to time management, study more, and also patience in the study, and handling complex problems and situations, and speaking well in front of others, even though people do assume that I do speak well in front of others. And I'll carry this all into my academic and future work as I go to college. I would like to thank all of my teachers for helping me with this study. All my teachers consisted of Ms. Harold and Ms. Curtis, and also Marcia Harrison, for allowing me to use the Zen pen at Marshall High School, and my principal, Mr. Dixon, Dr. Dixon, for allowing me to use the high school to conduct my study. I would also like to thank the audience and the adjudicators for coming out tonight to hear my study, and now I will be opening the floor to questions.
Hi. First of all, you look amazing. Great dress. I have a question. So these participants were self-regulating their response from using a 1 to 10 self. Okay. So do you think it would have made any difference had you been able to monitor their response medically, maybe by like blood pressure before, blood pressure after? I don't know.
Yes, I do feel like it would have been a difference because, like I said before, some kids are just immature, they just want to get out of class, so they just randomly select what they best fit, but you can't really lie about your vitals when in situations like that, so yes, I feel like it would help give me more accurate results.
So, did you only use a rainfall sound?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you feel, because I know there are a lot of apps out there with like brown sound, blue sound, green noise and all that stuff, and there are other like sound machines. Do you think a different sound like waves or crickets or frogs would have elicited the same response?
Well, in order to pick my sound, I kind of use what was very beneficial to myself, which I know when I hear rainfall sound in a quiet setting, I usually get pretty calm in that situation. And I feel like different sounds with different animals, you never know what can trigger people. So I try to use the safest one as possible, which was something that was natural that people don't hear.
Thank you, Caesar.